In this video, we're going to talk about the stages or the process of design thinking. As I mentioned in my earlier video, remember design thinking is not about how it looks. Typically, it is how it works or functions. And there are heaps of brands which have been doing that beautifully today. In this video, although, we'll talk about if you are going to launch a product or you already have a product or service, how do you get your design thinking principles in place? And for that, you have 5 stages. Number 1, empathize. That means keep yourself in your customer's shoes. Number 2, define. Your customer may have many problems, but ultimately you define the problems that make sense to you. At number 3 is ideate on the problems that you defined in stage number 2. At number 4, based on your ideation, make a prototype. Now, a prototype could be on paper or a sample product that you've designed, or an app, or a working model of an app. And at number 5 is finally you test your particular product or service or the mobile app to see if it actually satisfies the needs of the consumer and is also viable for your company. Now let's look at these stages quickly. When it comes to empathy, you need to put yourself in the customer's shoes and understand how they function. In order to empathize with customers, you have a couple of options. The first option is to interview the customer and ask them what are the problem they are facing. But this also has a drawback क्योंकि अगर आप customer question पूछते हैं वो nervous हो जाते हैं, conscious हो जाते हैं, and they don't give you the right answers. Another approach for empathizing with customers could also be shadowing them, knowing or unknowingly, just to understand how they behave in their setup. In fact, there is a model or study or research known as ethnographic research where you study consumers in their setting to understand how they use a product. After that, you seek to understand their functioning and ultimately be very non-judgmental in whatever the conclusion is of studying them. That is empathizing. Moving on to stage 2, you define the whole problem. Now in this case, the first thing that you'll do is actually draw the persona of the customer. For instance, एक Thar गाड़ी है, हर कोई खरीद सकता है, 20-25 lakhs, but obviously when you talk about Thar, it is definitely sold for some type of people, certain type of persona. For instance, someone who believes in off-roading, right? So whatever you empathize and whatever findings you got in stage 1, here you actually draw the customer persona of whom you're going to sell your product and service to. After that, once you draw the customer persona, you find out the pain points of that particular customer. For instance, आज Uber और Ola exist क्यों करता है? Because there were certain pain points about finding a rickshaw or a cab, छुट्टा, rigged meters, no AC. तो वो पेन पॉइंट से प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च किया है. तो जो आप कस्टमर पर्सोना बना रहे हैं डेफिनेशन स्टेज में, उसके पेन पॉइंट भी फाइंड आउट कीजिए. Like GPay today is doing exceptionally well because of people not having cash and change and quick payments. Moving on to the third stage of ideation. Now when it comes to ideation, there are many options in which you can actually start thinking. The best way to get ideas is to talk to your sales team because they are on ground to get ideas of what people are actually thinking about your brand. Another option is you could also ask your employees, no matter at what level they operate, to ideate on that particular problem that you have found. Or the best way today that actually works is also crowdsourcing of ideas, where you ask people of what their option could be for a new flavor of a product or what can be done with the product. The whole rationale of the stage of ideation is to get the best idea possible, which could be converted into a prototype, which takes us to the next stage of developing a prototype. If you see today, a lot of these mobile apps, when they launch in India, they're typically available in metros. Like for instance, recently Blinkit decided to launch something called a Bistro, a competitor for Zepto Cafe, and they were testing it in only certain cities in India. So the logic is pretty clear. आप product बनाओ, service बनाओ, but पहले उसको few customers, few cities में उसको क्या करो, test करो. Mahindra does this in most of its cars. Recently, the Scorpion was launched. They came out with few thousands of cars and later on decided to go full scale in the production. The logic is clear. By developing a prototype, you're keeping your damage limited by testing with few possible customers. And that leads us to a 5th stage of, as I mentioned, testing the product altogether, testing the waters to see can we do a full scale production over here, because that will ultimately complete the cycle. And if you find any problems in the testing phase, go back again to the empathizing stage and check what the customer actually needs. So this is a short video on the stages of design thinking. The other videos would take each stage individually and spend time on that. Hope you have liked the video. Thank you and easy array.